Welcome back to Horses of Courses. I'm Tania,
I'm Susanna.
and this is your January 2026 Horses of Courses podcast. I cannot believe we are already like almost 2 weeks into January.
Yeah.
Before we know it, it'll be Christmas again.
Shut up.
I'm telling you,
Shut
we'll
up.
be like, oh, remember that time a few days ago? We were asking our applications team, and for those that don't know, we have a huge group of people that are involved in the application process at Heart of Phoenix. So we have a chat, and they are a great resource.
They're very chatty.
They are very chatty, and they're a great resource for some ideas for the podcast. So I asked for some feedback, and one of the things, Claire, who has processed the vet portion for years on the applications, one thing she suggested
She's
is
adopted two of ours, too.
she has a Mustang and an Appalachian Brumby.
Yeah.
The first Appalachian Brumby who wore that name, which Adam
Right.
Black gave him that name, Dune, from the first ATFO in 2017.
Yep.
So Claire suggested we talk to you guys about changing temperatures and what that can mean for your horse. So
You
I
know what
think
drives me crazy?
many hearing me chew.
Well, that'd be a whole other podcast. No, it's when it's been cold and then it's not cold and people don't go out there and take their horses' blankets off. Like, that's so mean.
Well, it is, and it's, I mean, especially when you're dealing with what we are right now, where it's 72 one day and then today it's 30.
Yeah.
And most horses, to me, won't need a blanket at 30, but there are instances where they would, and you do you. But, you do have to be aware of rapidly changing temperatures and making sure that you're getting the blanket on, okay? Get the blanket off.
Yeah.
I show up occasionally at the rescue, and I have to remind the caretakers, hey, guys, you changed your clothes today to accommodate the temperatures. Let's make sure the horses' blankets are off. And it can be a big task right now. They blanket a bunch of horses. We do more like rain sheets, but put blankets on a herd of horses out in the field. And, the next day, all of a sudden, Mother Nature's like, oh, it's sunny and 75, even though it's January.
Yeah.
But also in changing temperatures, being aware of getting those blankets off once the temperatures bounce back up. But, there's some stuff with feeding, right? And laminitis risks when temperatures fluctuate.
Yeah, because that happened to Choya.
Right.
Like 10 days ago. His foster asked me to feed for her while she went on vacation. And the temperature had gone up to the upper 60s and lower 70s. And he came limping up to the barn. He was in the start of a laminitic attack, and he was eating senior feed because she didn't realize that the grass had started growing again. So
yeah,
it's been a pain in the derriere this year. I have two horses that I have to manage their weight, and the grass growing again twice now has been a pain.
Yeah, I noticed it popping up in the big field at the rescue, which for out there, okay, but it seems like an odd thing to happen.
Well, my neighbor on top of the hill is getting tulips.
Adam Black posted a picture of a dandelion.
Yeah.
In Ohio.
Yeah.
So just think of that. We can get really busy and just kind of just skip your mind. And here's your horse out there in a heavy blanket that's popped up to 60 degrees, and that's hard on him.
Yeah.
So
you'd be soaking wet underneath of there.
Yeah, but also temperature fluctuation. Hot, cold, and there's some more to it, right? Sugar in the grasses.
Yeah, the sugar runs up in the grass when it does that. When it's cold and then it's followed by a sunny day, then it makes there's arguments whether it's sugar, carbohydrates, or somebody will pop on there. Something runs up in the grass and it ain't good. Whatever you want to call it, it ain't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and you may live in a place where that's not something you're running into this time of year, but we really, where we are, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, winters can be erratic, and so you may live in a place like once it's winter,
it's winter.
It's winter. Like maybe you're in Montana, and maybe
I'm kind of glad we don't live in those.
I am glad.
Places.
That is not my thing.
No.
And you know what? Susanna keeps asking me about whether I've given a certain horse dewormer, and it reminds me of the fact that we are out of Quest Plus.
Yes.
And I'm going to order some. When the horses come in, our vet has a protocol including a dewormer, but we like Quest Plus when horses are due within the rescue that have been there a while.
Well, this particular horse has bot eggs too, so we need to kill those off.
And so we need some Quest Plus.
We're requesting the Quest.
Yeah, if you hop on our Chewy shelter page, you can donate it from there, and it'll ship directly to us. You can also message us, and we can let you know how to ship to us, the address, and then keep in mind, Quest Plus isn't cheap. It runs about $20 a tube now. I remember when it was $12.99, and every now and again you can catch it on sale. So if anybody out there sees it on sale somewhere, please always let us know, because I don't always realize when maybe Tractor Supply or Chewy or somewhere runs a sale, and we use a lot of it. And when you're talking about 85 horses in a rescue, that's a lot of money. So if you're thinking about donating, Quest Plus is a great way to help us out right now with a direct need. I know we've probably almost worn you guys out lately talking about kill pin scams and broker lots, and I think we can never say enough about the tragedies of those existing. And I think one story that really epitomizes why they are so harmful and destructive is the rescue story of Guinevere.
That was so sad.
I think her story maybe is maybe the saddest in some ways. So Guinevere came in, I believe it was 2022, and she was an extraordinarily emaciated mare with a foal on her side. The baby was about 4 weeks old.
Yeah.
I think.
It was
4
little.
to 8 weeks old. She was little. We named her Alba, and her mother was so emaciated. There was nothing, no muscle left on her body. I mean, obviously no fat, but the muscle had been destroyed. She was an absolute skeleton, and people will call all kinds of horses skeletons. And you know, if you can see part of the skeletal process, I get it. But we've seen a lot of emaciated horses, and she was about as bad as it could possibly be. And
well, various people called and messaged, and we found out more pieces of her story. She'd been out in an auction out west and was supposed to be in quarantine and wound up on a horse trailer when it was 106 degrees outside, headed from Texas to Ohio.
And so this mare with this baby on her, the story was she was shipping to slaughter with the foal. She wasn't. That was, a work of fiction, predatory, in order to fundraise off of her. She started out in decent shape.
Yeah.
Before,
yeah, we got set pictures of her at the auction. She really was pretty decent.
And before all the helpers in the kill pin rescue nonsense got through with her, she was an organ failure and had that baby on her. She'd been hauled, trampled.
Yeah,
her body
she
was
went down in that trailer.
Her body was covered in wounds. She had cellulitis. Her face blew up with swelling, and
that was the saddest picture ever.
It was
so sad,
gut wrenching, and it was hard. It was hard. Sorry, guys. Susanna's still recovering from this long flu. We just had a board meeting. She drove in from Kentucky through a snowstorm to be with us past her contagious period. I wasn't worried about it, but some of the
I'm not contagious anymore. But it's the gift that keeps on giving.
So, anyway, you can look up pictures of her if you don't remember her. I know if you've been following us for very long, I'm sure you remember her story. But
we tried hard.
We tried hard, and she had maggots all in those wounds in her legs. And I was out there, and it was in the summer. It was summertime, and I was just flushing those maggots out, and it was unspeakable what this horse had went through, the amount of suffering. And had she not had the baby on her, and the baby had not been so young, I think we'd have made a euthanasia decision quicker. We put her on an IV. Dr. Walker, we all kind of knew the survival was extraordinarily unlikely. I think eventually, just like by the time the blood work came back, it was already a crisis, and her organs were just shot. She just couldn't. There was nothing to be done but euthanasia. And I really think the all over body cellulitis from all the wounds of her being trampled probably played a big role. Had that not been the case, maybe she'd have been able to rehab, but I
I
don't
don't know.
really think so.
Her liver values came back so crunky. I kind of think she had a lacerated liver.
But to understand fully the way this works is these horses at these lower end kind of sales, they make the threat of this horse is going to be shipped to slaughter. Very rare. I mean, if the horse isn't actually. It's just part of a sales scheme. And the horse certainly needs a home, and it's for sale, and it's probably not a highly marketable horse for various reasons that are not likely to be disclosed. This mare was relatively young. I think she was 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. She ran through who knows how many auctions. Also, we don't know. Could have been her first one, could have been her 10th one, because they'll just keep running them through. Tell you they're going to ship them to slaughter. You need to bail them. People don't know where the horses go once they're bailed, and a fortune is raised.
I'm really amazed they didn't pull her baby, because one of their favorite tricks is to pull the babies off of the mares and then say, we got in a load of orphan foals.
Yeah, they left the babies, because what ultimately happened is this mare was part of a bunch of mares with babies.
Right.
And we ended up, she ended up shipped, wasn't supposed to be on, because these haulers, these quarantine associates, haulers, none of them care. They're part of the money racket. So she ended up shipped to the wrong place, to somebody that said they'd take them, a rescue place in Ohio, which has done this kind of thing many times, because, because this whole process allows horses to go to places that really they shouldn't go. She went there. She started to deteriorate very quickly. They asked if Heart of Phoenix would come and accept her. And then there was so much outrage over her condition that one of the people who had helped donate, thinking she was saving this horse from slaughter, and wasn't, in fact, saving her from anything, but actually paying for her suffering, raised so much hullabaloo that then we were asked to take the other mare and foal that had been part of that original herd. And that mare was in better shape but thin, and the baby was a little younger.
Yeah,
the baby is
younger.
Dawn, who's now been with us so long that she's under saddle. So Guinevere's story, we did end up euthanizing her. We had to raise the baby as an orphan. I can't remember what we ended up doing to get her with a pal. Where did she go? Where was she fostered?
I don't even remember.
I don't either. But
she didn't come. I ended up with Dawn and her mama.
Yeah, but I don't remember what happened with Alba. AJ's. She went to AJ's.
Oh, and she lived with
Prim.
She lived with Prim.
Yeah. So she ended up going with another
We're
herd.
Getting old, and we have
so many horses.
Too many horses.
But she grew up in a herd setting. She did really well. Really nice, a beautiful little Corab looking baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she got adopted at Equine Fair in 2024, I believe. She's part of a riding program for kids in Ohio. So, we were able to, get the baby raised and adopted, but Guinevere just couldn't make it. And the reason that mare suffered and died is because of people who support kill pens. That's why she suffered and died. And it's a real tragedy. And I can't.
Can you imagine how awful and sweltering it was in that trailer? Because this trailer was packed, and
because it came from like Texas,
and it was 106 degrees when they loaded her.
Oh, and again, she was already a skeleton. I mean, it was unspeakable. So, people will say things like, "Well, if it saves one," no.
Yeah.
If you're perpetuating suffering of masses, and you think because you got a horse in your barn that you got from this nonsense that makes it okay, it's not. You're wrong. It's not okay. So I can never say it enough. I've seen too much. I know the truth, and I'm going to keep talking about it forever and ever. Amen.
Maybe not next month, though.
Maybe not next month. We'll give y'all a break.
We'll give you a break.
This month's hot take, this one really, Susanna writes things, and
that
somebody
are very
practical things, and people
that are full of sense, and people just
go wild sometimes. I mean, the bulk, they're very well received. They circulate well. Most people are very appreciative, but you always have like some random person, come on with their glowing ray of brilliance. And so this person's response was, Susanna talked about horses are best served by living
outside
as much as possible in a pastured herd environment.
Yeah. So the very last line said, "We here at Heart of Phoenix believe that horses belong outside with friends as much as possible." That was the very last line.
How can anybody disagree with that? But
she sure did.
But there was
I wish you quit writing these generalized things that don't take into account the climate in other areas. I live in Virginia, and we always have 4 inches of snow. I'm like, we're in West Virginia.
Yeah, she kept saying we were in the South with warm weather, and I'm like, honey,
South with warm weather.
We're where it's colder. But she didn't even pause to look at that.
And so her horses had just spent all these days inside because there was 4 inches of solid ice and blah blah blah. I don't know. It went on and on. Every time everybody said you're taking this too personally, she started all over again. She ended up with like 14 comments. I thought about deleting her, but she's making it circulate better, so I left her alone.
And it kind of begs the question of, and this will factor into our main topic this month. Just because it works for you doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it what's best for your horse. It doesn't change the nature of the horse. Now,
if there were 4 inches of solid ice, I would bring my horses in. But how can you sit there and say that there's 4 inches of solid ice the whole entire winter? There just can't be.
Well, no, and also,
where the hell do you live?
I did know
Iceland?
the weather in Virginia at the time the time frame that was laid out there, it didn't seem like that had happened in Virginia, but maybe it did. And so if you want to bring your horses in during an ice storm, okay. But also there are plenty of horses that in parts of the world stay out and they're fine too. But, what is better for your horse is not defined by what is better for you or what your mentor told you. What the horse needs is what they need. And how you want to make that fit in your box, that's up to you. And we all have to do things that are practical for us. Maybe you board and you have no other boarding options and they only turn your horse out for 8 hours a day. It is not better for your horse. However, that allows you to take care of a horse that needs a home and the horse is not in some great distress. And maybe they've come to even be accustomed to being stalled. There are horses that...
Well, it's better for your horse than staying in the stall 24 hours
right.
a day,
So you can't do everything perfect and right all of the time, and we understand that. But it is important to know what the best practice is. And then if you can't do that, then you just say, well, maybe it's better for the horse, but I feel better, or my situation, or my ground can't have horses on it all the time, or, at Mulligan, in the winter, it's extremely muddy in the main feeding areas, in the big fields. And there are horses that, because of the mud, they aren't thriving in that. And so it's not ideal. So we bring them in. It's not that the best thing for the horse would be in a non-muddy turnout environment. There are times where that isn't possible. So it's, what can we do? What is the thing that we can do that is an improvement? So if they're not dealing well with mud, then we're going to bring the horse in, and maybe we're going to turn out somewhere in smaller sessions because that's what's available for the number of horses that are there. There's things you can't make it perfect all the time, but don't have a hissy fit because we suggest horses are best served by being turned out as much as possible.
Usually they have hissy fits over things like that really shouldn't be controversial. It's because they know they're not doing what they should.
And they feel targeted.
And they feel targeted.
Right. And like, we didn't know you, ma'am. We didn't know till you told us you didn't turn your horses out as much as we would recommend. So you admitted it. So you opened your own self up to some feedback there, and that's how we feel about it. So
they don't know how we feel about it.
Nobody knows how we feel about anything,
No.
Susanna. We keep all of that very private. So our main topic this month, this I think is a controversial topic, is you owe it to your horse to try to provide them the best care possible, the best care that you are able to provide. And what we run into is a person acquires a vet, a dental expert, a farrier. They like them. and whether what those people are doing is really good for the animal, they are now kind of married to that acquaintance or friendship even, so that they can't see if the animal is experiencing a disservice.
Well, and then sometimes it's that their inexperience makes them think that what the vet, farrier, or dentist are doing
Right.
are the best practices because they're not experienced enough to know any better.
Right. And I see the flip side of this, because there are plenty of vets, farriers that are doing a good job that have clients that want to tell them how to do it. And it's a fine line. But we, like in our applications processing, we see so much that is blatantly harmful to horses happening through poor informed care. They have a farrier, and the farrier is out frequently, but the farrier is causing significant harm to the horse because they are not doing a good job. They may mean well, but the horse's foot needs you to do well, not mean well. And it will be something that you try to have this conversation, and sometimes people just say, I didn't know. Thanks for letting me know. But usually it's, well, I can't access anything better. And sometimes that is true. Sometimes you can't. There is a line, though, where if the care you're providing is detrimental to the horse and you can't access better care, maybe horses aren't for you at this time in your life. That is also a hard thing. If you truly can't get good farrier care, you have no access to a good farrier, do you have a right to have a horse? I don't think you do.
Well, I gave up one of my horses because I lost my farrier and couldn't find a replacement farrier, and it was harming him. He was
Right.
whoppingly lame, laying down 8 hours a day, and it was not right. Now, unfortunately, I gave him up, and 4 weeks later, I found a great farrier, and it could have been okay, but by then he was already gone. But I still know where he is to this day. He's good. But I gave him up for his sake because
Right.
I could not find him the farrier care he needed.
Well, and we'll get applications where they'll say, my vet doesn't use a speculum to check teeth. He says my horse's teeth are fine. They don't need done. Well, no matter how much you like that vet, that's impossible. You cannot determine without a speculum in a horse's mouth that they do not need their teeth done. And also, we do 100 and probably 50 horses' teeth a year. And sometimes, some years, we've done 250 horses. And do you know how many of them in a 12-month period, if they've been done and the rescue a year later didn't need done a year later? Zero. They all will need done.
It just very rarely happens.
Now, that doesn't mean there's a lot to do. And the longer you have a good maintained mouth, if a horse has always been maintained their whole life, I could see skipping, but you need the exam. But I could see a horse, maybe they wouldn't need done in a hard 12-month way if their mouth's been shaped and guided its whole life. But when you see that, it's so hard to say, well, ma'am, I apologize, but your vet is doing a disservice to your horse. So this applies to, there are horses that we've gotten videos where this happened this last year during a particular event we were doing, where there were videos sent to us. It wasn't hop horses. And the trainers reviewing the videos said, well, these horses are lame.
Yeah.
And so we reached out, and they're like, well, our vet says they're not lame. Well, they're lame. Well, you can see it. I mean, if your vet doesn't see it, then they don't know enough about lameness. You need to go to a different vet. So I feel really strongly that you have to advocate for your horse. And in that time where you're like trying to become more educated, you can get a lot of things wrong, but get a second opinion and look for credentials for the person giving you that second opinion. If you are having horses, you have to have some amount of means to afford them. So we will have run into things where we've been told, we've had horses out with trainers, and maybe we don't have a relationship with that farrier or vet, and we've heard things that we go, no, we're going to have to get the horse, and we're going to have to take the horse to someone we trust to give good information before we just assume what you've said. Sometimes it's accurate, and sometimes it isn't. But getting a second opinion from a person of significant credential history, sometimes you sometimes just have to, and if somebody will say, well, I can't. And again, it comes back to, can you or should you have horses if you cannot be secure in your ability to provide them the care that they need? And everything doesn't have to be perfect. Suzanne and I talk about this. There are times where there truly aren't a huge number of incredibly skilled farriers out there.
There really aren't.
We have not just us saying that. Many veterinarians that we deal with say the same thing. Also, we have a large animal vet crisis in America. So I understand getting the greatest and the best of the best is not necessary. I have survived with mediocre things for my own self throughout my life. I'm happy, relatively healthy, ish, but so we're not saying.
How's the shape of your feet, though?
Well, they seem to be doing okay. I have a son with wears like a four extra wide, 4E wide shoes. So the shape of his are kind of wild. But
4E.
I think that's the way they do wide shoes. E's, 4 E's after it. If it's
I thought it'd be a 14E.
No, 4 is the width.
Oh.
I think. Somebody may be hearing this and go, that's not how it is. That's the way I think it is.
I mean, my grandfather wore 13s and a halves, narrows.
Yeah, no, that had to be rough. Especially back in the day.
We had to have them custom made.
Yeah. So, I was saying earlier during the board meeting, I'm a gatekeeper for horses. I make it seem like nobody can have one and do it right. And I kind of do mean to, because I feel like if you can be discouraged, it probably means you don't need horses.
Yeah, but you owe it to your horse to educate yourself. Don't just, if the farrier tells you this is how a hoof is supposed to look, don't just take that. Don't go, are you sure? But go, we live in Google age. Go look up Duckett's Principle, or go get you the Essential Hoof book or something and teach yourself what in the heck a healthy hoof is supposed to look like.
Right. And and I'm not saying show up to your vet and farrier and act like you are the God-given expert of the world, even though now I do. And so does Susanna. But we do. But we're not saying you should. But because but you do have access to good, solid information. Look up what the American Farriers Journal photos of what a foot should look like. And there are some variations and reasons why there could be some differences. Fine. But you have eyeballs. And you can look and say, well, gosh, this foot don't look a thing like that. And it isn't an overnight fix. It takes a year of consistent good work and good nutrition. And you can get sometimes a foot it's gone too long. And you may never get it exactly the way it could have been. But
well, think about, we had a farrier mess up Marty, and it took us a whole year to correct it.
Yeah, and that was a trainer.
The blatantly the farrier's part, and the trainer letting it happen.
Right. And so, when you learn better, you do better. And we know every single thing won't be perfect. So say when we're looking at applications, if everything about the care of the horse appears to be good, but we don't love the farrier care, we'll give some feedback. But we're not expecting you to have the podiatry department from Rood and Riddle. Now that said, we are very blessed in that we have been able to spend a lot of time at the podiatry department at Rood and Riddle and take horses there. And, you learn when you're doing these things. And it is hard when you see what elite care provides and the deficit of what most horses are getting. And it's a big difference.
Yeah.
When you know what could happen with the best of the best working on the horse, and the horse can't even hope to end up there, they're going to end up down there. It is hard, and it's hard when horses have gone out to homes and come back to us, and it's changed. Maybe it's not neglect, it's just ignorance of what good care looks like. So they kept having a farrier. The horse comes back to us because maybe a job change, and the horse is in good shape. They love the horse, but look at their feet. Look at their feet. And I keep talking about feet because I think that happens to us the most.
It does.
But nutrition can be a thing. Like sometimes just how do you even feed the horse? You have access to expert nutritional guidance online very easily.
But that's
Look,
difficult,
it
though,
is. It
because
can
some
be.
of them are married to a particular feed company.
Yeah, I discourage if they're
Feed
strongly
nutritionists who are
associated with
a particular
a
feed
company in sales. Doesn't mean everything they're telling you is wrong, but there's a motivating factor potentially there. And so,
Well, think about
independent nutrition information is what I would really recommend somebody focusing on.
Because in the case of Rita, her testing came back all these things, and then she consulted the one feed company's nutritionist, and they told her to put them on their products, which had everything that horse
did
shouldn't
not
have had.
Right.
Should not have had.
And so look at where's the information coming from. Look at the results from what you're getting. Obviously, we will always help as best we can from our point of experience. There are people who have more experience and more credentials by far than we. So reach out, but get those second opinions. Don't let your relationship with a care provider actually stand in your way of your horse getting better care when it's imperative that they have a change. And I mean, it's hard conversations. I've had to bring it up many times doing this, and it is not usually well received. And then it makes you think, what do you really care about, the horse or your buddy? And it doesn't even have to be that your farrier is your friend, but you create a level of trust, and we want you to have that, but we don't want you to have it when it's kind of not rated, so.
And don't get us wrong, a lot of times the farriers or whoever are not doing things wrong on purpose. It's just that you can go through a 4-week farrier course and get a farrier certificate, and you really haven't been taught enough at all.
And think about in your own life how many people you might have had try to teach you something that now they weren't qualified to teach. There are people out there trying to learn, being taught the wrong things. My vet talks about certain things, the way they teach in vet schools now, that he feels aren't the approaches that, would be best. So, and that's his opinion. So there's lots of opinions, but at the end of the day, there really is what works for the horse. And sometimes we'll convince ourselves it's okay because kind of almost like what you were talking about with the lady and the snow and the ice and keeping the horses up. Sometimes the things we are defending, we've created these defense mechanisms for because deep down we do know it's not really very good. And we have to tell ourselves something to make ourselves feel better about it. So that's all I've got for you now, telling you how to live your life. It's what we do best.
Live them in sweatpants.
Lately.
That's your best life. Live them in sweatpants.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a lot of sweatpants. One of our board members, Honey, she's gotten onto the velour track suits.
The velour track suits. Those were around when I was in the 7th grade.
Oh, they've had a comeback. They don't work for me. I don't like the way the waistbands are in the length, but for some people it can work, And anyway, until next time, I'm Tania.
I'm Susanna.
And that's Horses of Courses.